All right, so today we're going to dive into something pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah.
The idea of AI constitutions.
Mm.
You know those like foundational documents that set the ground rules for like entire countries?
Right.
But for AI,
Uh-huh.
specifically for those large language models or LLMs that like everyone's talking about these days?
Well, it might seem like a bit of a stretch at first,
Yeah,
but you see, these LLMs are guided by something called system prompts,
right.
which are essentially sets of instructions and guidelines that kind of shape how they behave and generate responses.
So like giving an AI like a crash course in ethics and etiquette before letting it loose on the internet.
Exactly. It's about establishing boundaries and ensuring that the AI operates in a way that's aligned with our values.
Oh.
And that's where this whole Constitution analogy comes in.
I'm intrigued. What are some of the parallels that researchers are drawing between these AI prompts and like actual constitutions?
Well, one of the most fundamental parallels is the idea of a foundational framework. Just like a constitution outlines the core principles and structure of a government,
Right.
a system prompt defines the fundamental rules that govern an AI's behavior.
So it's like laying down the law of the land, but in this case, the land is the digital world and the citizens are lines of code.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And just like a constitution, a system prompt needs to balance constraints with freedoms.
Hold on. How can limiting an AI actually give it more freedom? Isn't that counterintuitive?
Well, it might seem that way at first,
Yeah.
but think about it this way. Imagine a world without any rules or boundaries.
Uh-oh.
It would be chaos, right?
Yeah.
The same applies to AI.
Okay.
By defining what's off limits, you're actually creating a space where the AI can operate more freely and creatively
Hmm.
within those boundaries.
So instead of like stifling the AI's potential constraints, actually help to like channel it in a productive direction.
Precisely. And this principle applies to both constitutions and AI prompts.
Okay.
For example, a constitution might guarantee freedom of speech, but also prohibit hate speech.
Right.
That constraint actually enhances freedom by creating a more civil and productive environment for discourse.
So it's like setting up guardrails.
Yeah.
Not to limit the AI, but to keep it from like veering off into dangerous territory.
Exactly. And this leads us to another fascinating parallel, the hierarchical structure of both systems.
Okay.
Just like a constitution has different levels of authority,
Right.
with higher level principles overriding lower level laws,
Right.
AI prompts are also organized hierarchically.
Interesting.
You might have a core ethical directive at the top,
Okay.
followed by more specific instructions and guidelines.
So it's like those nested if-then statements you find in computer programs.
Yeah.
If this condition is met, then do this. But if this other higher level condition overrides it, then do that instead.
That's a great analogy. It highlights the layered nature of both systems and how higher level principles always take precedence.
Okay.
It's a crucial safety mechanism, ensuring that the AI stays within its ethical boundaries, even when faced with conflicting instructions.
It's like having a built-in moral compass that guides the AI's decisions, no matter what the specific situation might be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And just as constitutions need to be adaptable to changing times,
Right.
so too do AI prompts.
Yeah. Makes sense.
We're constantly learning more about AI safety and the potential risks involved.
Uh-huh.
So these prompts need to be updated and refined as our understanding evolves.
It's like those software updates you get on your phone, always adding new features and patching up security vulnerabilities.
That's a great way to think about it.
Yeah.
The world of AI is constantly evolving, and the rules that govern it need to keep pace with those advancements.
Yeah.
And this brings us to another crucial parallel, the protection of values.
So how do both constitutions and AI prompts go about safeguarding what matters most?
Well, constitutions typically enshrine fundamental human rights and democratic principles,
Right.
ensuring that the government serves the people and protects their interests.
Okay.
Similarly, AI prompts are designed to ensure that AI behaves in a way that aligns with human values and benefits society as a whole.
So both are ultimately about making sure these powerful systems, whether it's a government or an AI, are aligned with our values and don't go rogue.
That's a great way to put it. It's about ensuring that these systems operate in a way that's beneficial and not harmful to humanity.
Okay.
But even with the best intentions and the clearest rules, there's always room for interpretation, right?
Right.
How do both constitutions and AI prompts deal with, like, the messy complexities of the real world?
That's a crucial point, and it highlights another key parallel interpretation and implementation.
Okay.
Just like legal scholars debate the meaning of constitutional rights and how they apply to specific cases,
Yeah.
AI systems need to interpret their prompts and apply them to the real-world situations they encounter.
So even though we're talking about digital systems here,
Sure.
it's not like these AI are operating in some abstract vacuum.
Right.
They're interacting with the real world with all its nuances and ambiguities.
Exactly. And that's why transparency and accountability are becoming increasingly important in the world of AI.
Just like we want our governments to be open and accountable,
Right.
we need to understand how AI systems are making decisions and hold them responsible for their actions.
So it's not enough to just set the rules and then let the AI run wild.
Right.
We need to be able to look into the hood and make sure it's playing by the rules.
Precisely. Transparency builds trust and accountability, ensures that AI is used responsibly and ethically.
And speaking of responsibility, how do both constitutions and AI prompts handle conflicts? Because let's face it, in any complex system, conflicts are bound to arise.
That's a great point. And it brings us to another key parallel conflict resolution.
Okay.
Whether it's clashing rights in a constitution or competing instructions in an AI prompt,
That's right.
there needs to be a clear process for resolving disputes
Okay.
and ensuring that the ultimate decision is in line with the system's overarching principles.
It's like having a referee in a sports game, making sure everyone's playing fair and following the rules.
Yeah. That's a great analogy. It highlights the need for a fair and impartial mechanism for resolving conflicts and ensuring that the system operates in a consistent and predictable manner. It's striking how these parallels between AI prompts and constitutions reveal that we're not starting from scratch when it comes to AI governance.
Right.
We're actually drawing upon centuries of experience in governing ourselves.
So instead of reinventing the wheel, we're adapting those time-tested principles from the analog world to the digital realm.
Right.
Makes you wonder if we're on the cusp of a whole new era of digital constitutionalism.
That's a fascinating question.
Yeah.
As AI systems become more sophisticated,
Uh-huh.
could we see them playing a more active role in shaping their own digital constitutions?
Whoa.
Or will humans always retain the ultimate authority to define AI's values and boundaries?
Okay, so before we get too far ahead of ourselves,
Right.
let's take a moment to recap the key takeaways we've discussed so far. So we've uncovered some intriguing parallels between the ways we govern societies and the emerging approaches to governing AI.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We've seen how both systems rely on foundational frameworks,
Right.
establish constraints that actually foster greater freedom,
Right.
operate with hierarchical structures,
Uh-huh.
and are designed for adaptability over time.
And let's not forget that both are deeply concerned with protecting values.
Yeah.
Require careful interpretation and implementation in real-world contexts,
Right.
and place a strong emphasis on transparency and accountability.
Absolutely.
It's almost like we're looking at two sides of the same coin, one governing human behavior and the other guiding AI behavior.
The key difference, of course, lies in the concepts of agency and consciousness.
Okay.
Human societies actively participate in their own governance,
Right.
debating, amending, and reinterpreting their constitutions.
Right.
Whereas LLMs, as we understand them today, are tools that execute their programming.
So even though their programming is becoming incredibly complex,
Yeah.
they're not like sentient beings making conscious decisions about how to govern themselves.
Right. At least not yet.
Not yet.
However, as AI continues to advance at an astonishing pace, the question of AI agency and its potential role in shaping its own governance will inevitably become more prominent.
So it's almost as if we're laying the groundwork for a future where AI might have a voice, or at least some level of input in how it's governed. That's both exciting and a little bit unsettling, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It's a future brimming with possibilities and potential pitfalls.
Yeah.
But by understanding these parallels between human governance and AI governance, we gain a valuable lens
Okay.
through which to navigate the complexities that lie ahead.
So what does all of this mean for the average person who uses AI in their daily life?
It means that we need to stay informed
Okay.
and actively participate in the conversations surrounding AI governance.
Right.
It's crucial for us to grasp how these systems function,
Yeah.
what values are embedded within them, and what implications they hold for our collective future.
Because at the end of the day, the future of AI isn't solely about technological advancement. It's about the societal choices we make.
Right.
It's about thoughtfully determining the kind of relationship we want to have with these increasingly powerful tools.
And that's a conversation that needs to involve everyone.
Right.
We must consider the ethical considerations, weigh the potential benefits against the risks,
Okay.
and ask ourselves what kind of future do we want to build with AI.
And how do we ensure that it's a future where both humans and AI can thrive together?
That's a question with enormous implications.
It is.
And while we may not have all the answers right now,
Right.
understanding the principles of governance,
Yeah,
both in the human realm and the burgeoning world of AI,
right.
is an excellent starting point.
The more we understand about these complex systems, the better equipped we'll be to shape them in ways that benefit humanity.
Absolutely.
And that's really what this deep dive is all about. Exploring these ideas and sparking meaningful conversations.
Well said.
Yeah.
Even though thinking about AI in terms of constitutions and governance might feel somewhat abstract,
Yeah.
it has very tangible consequences in our lives.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Just think about how AI is already being utilized in critical areas like healthcare finance and even criminal justice.
Right.
The way these AI systems are governed has a direct and profound impact on people's lives.
Exactly. And as AI continues to become more integrated into our daily routines and decision-making processes, the stakes will only continue to rise.
Yeah, for sure.
That's why having these conversations now, while we're still in the relatively early stages of AI development,
Right.
is so vitally important.
It's almost like we're laying the foundation for a completely new kind of society, one where AI plays an increasingly prominent role. And just as with any society, we need to establish clear rules, values, and principles
Right.
to ensure that things function harmoniously.
And most importantly, to ensure that this new society serves the best interests of humanity.
Right.
It's about striking a balance between technological progress and human well-being.
One thing that really resonated with me from the research we've been discussing is the emphasis on transparency and accountability in AI systems.
Yeah.
It seems like those two principles will be absolutely paramount as AI continues to evolve and become more powerful.
I couldn't agree more. Transparency builds trust, and accountability helps to ensure that AI systems are utilized responsibly and ethically.
Right.
Without these crucial elements, it's hard to envision a future where humans and AI can coexist harmoniously and productively.
We need to be able to understand how AI is making decisions.
Yeah.
And just as importantly, we need to have mechanisms in place to hold these systems accountable when things go wrong or unintended consequences arise.
That's where things get really tricky because AI systems are rapidly increasing in complexity.
Right.
Even experts in the field sometimes struggle to fully grasp how some of these AI systems operate.
So how do we ensure transparency when even the people who designed and built these systems might not have a complete understanding of how they function in every situation?
That's one of the biggest challenges facing the field of AI governance today. It might require entirely new approaches to regulation,
Okay.
fresh ways of thinking about AI ethics, and perhaps even novel forms of collaboration between humans and AI systems.
It sounds like addressing these challenges will require a healthy dose of innovation and out-of-the-box thinking.
Absolutely. We need to be bold and creative in our approaches to AI governance.
Okay.
But I remain optimistic that we can find effective solutions.
Yeah.
Develop frameworks that ensure AI is developed and deployed in a way that ultimately benefits all of humanity.
I share your optimism. After all, humans have a remarkable track record of adapting to change and devising creative solutions to incredibly complex problems.
That's true.
We've been doing it for millennia.
And if we can harness that same ingenuity and spirit of collaboration in the realm of AI, I believe we can create a future where AI serves as a powerful force for good in the world.
Thinking back to those parallels between constitutions and AI prompts, it occurs to me that both are fundamentally about defining boundaries and establishing clear expectations.
That's a keen observation.
Yeah.
Whether we're talking about individuals in a society or lines of code in an AI system,
Right.
it's about creating a framework for behavior that is understandable, predictable, and aligned with our values.
And just like with any set of rules or guidelines, there will always be debate and disagreement about where those boundaries should be drawn and how they should be enforced.
That's the inherent nature of any system of governance. It's a continuous and dynamic process of negotiation, adaptation, and refinement.
And it's a process that we'll need to actively engage in as AI continues to evolve. We can't simply establish a set of rules and then wash our hands of the matter.
Right.
We need to be constantly evaluating, refining, and adapting our approach to AI governance as new challenges and opportunities emerge.
It's not a static process. It's a dynamic and evolving one. And it will require ongoing dialogue and collaboration among policymakers, technologists, ethicists, and the public at large.
It sounds like the future of AI governance is going to be a collaborative effort, much like building and maintaining a democratic society relies on the active participation of its citizens.
Precisely. And just like in a well-functioning democracy, everyone has a role to play.
Yeah.
We need to be informed citizens actively engaging in the conversations surrounding AI and holding our leaders and our technologies accountable.
Because ultimately, the future of AI is in our hands.
Right.
It hinges on the choices we make today, the values we prioritize, and the actions we take to shape this rapidly evolving landscape.
Well said. It's a powerful reminder that we are not merely passive bystanders in this technological revolution.
Right.
We are active participants shaping the future of AI and, by extension, the future of humanity.
It's incredible to think that something as like seemingly technical as AI prompts can lead us to like such profound questions about, governance ethics and like what it means to be human in this rapidly changing world.
Yeah, it really speaks to the power of this analogy. It allows us to connect these like cutting-edge technological advancements
Yeah.
to the long history of human governance
Right.
and grapple with some of the most fundamental questions we face as a species.
It's almost as if AI is like holding up a mirror to humanity, forcing us to examine our values, our systems, and like our aspirations in a new light.
Yeah, I love that way of putting it. It's like AI is saying, hey, humans, you've had centuries to experiment with different forms of governance.
Okay.
What have you learned?
Yeah.
What works, what doesn't? Because I'm kind of building my own systems here, and I could use some guidance.
Right. And just maybe in the process of like teaching AI how to govern itself responsibly, we might learn a thing or two about how to improve our own systems of governance.
Now, that's a fascinating thought.
Yeah.
It suggests a kind of feedback loop where the development of AI helps us to better understand ourselves and refine our own approaches to governance.
It's like a collaborative learning experience with both humans and AI like pushing each other to evolve and improve.
And as AI continues to advance at an exponential pace, this feedback loop is only going to become more critical.
Right.
It's a journey we're embarking on together, humans and AI, and the destination is still unfolding before our very eyes.
So it's a bit like setting sail for uncharted waters. We have a compass and some navigational tools,
Yeah.
but we can't fully predict what we'll encounter along the way.
That's a wonderful analogy.
Yeah.
It captures both the excitement and the uncertainty of this moment in history.
Right.
We have this incredibly powerful technology at our fingertips, but we're still figuring out how to harness its potential while mitigating its risks.
That's what makes this entire field of study so captivating. It's not just about ones and zeros. It's about grappling with fundamental questions about power, responsibility, and what kind of future we want to create.
And those are questions that every single one of us has a stake in. The choices we make today will shape the world of tomorrow, not just for ourselves, but for generations to come.
So for everyone listening out there, I encourage you to stay curious, keep asking questions, and join the conversation about the future of AI.
Because the future isn't something that simply happens to us. It's something we actively shape through our choices, our actions, and our willingness to engage with these complex and vitally important issues.
Well said. And that brings us to the end of another Deep Dive. Thanks for joining us on this exploration of AI constitutions. I hope you found it as thought-provoking as we did.
And remember, the world of AI is constantly evolving, so stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, stay engaged in the conversation.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.